And this is tahsin and taqbih. So you have this khilaf. The Mu'tazilite basically said the aql was able to perceive good and evil. And the other schools, the Maturidiyya and the Ash'ari, they believe that also, but they limit it. So they don't have the absolute position that the Mu'tazilite takes. So they believe that the intellect can perceive what's tahsin and taqbih. Like the intellect is left to understand that knowledge is good and that ignorance is evil. That's the realm. The intellect can do that. It doesn't need revelation to determine that. It can see that theft is bad and that honesty is good, murder is bad, treating other human beings the way you'd like to be treated. Those are things that reason can arrive at. So that's a soft natural law, right? It's a soft natural law. It's not a hard natural law, but it's a soft natural law. But where they differ, and then they also mula'amat al-taba'. They also believe that you like something or dislike something, because a lot of, there's a whole theory of ethics called the boohoo theory. The things you don't like are bad and things that you like are good. So our scholars recognize that that's an aspect of ethics. Like we might find it disgusting to eat snails. So we say, oh, that's bad. But then you travel to France or even Morocco, and they're cooking snails. And the Moroccans say, oh, that's good. So that's just nature, taba'. And Imam Shafi'i puts some emphasis on that in terms of tahsin and taqbih. The third, though, is what relates to iqab and thawab. That in terms of the details of right and wrong, the intellect can't reach that. It can't get to, there are many things that the intellect will not be able to understand. And then also the punishment and the reward that goes with the action. That's the realm of sharia. It's not the realm of aql. I mean, you can make, there's ta'zir in sharia, which the aql can do. But in terms of the afterlife, the reward and punishment of the afterlife for actions that are done in this world, only revelation can determine that. The human intellect has no access to that. So he's saying that, that the human being can have this ability to perceive right and wrong, but not in an absolute sense. That's my point. It's limited. And then he says, إلى العقل أشار تعالى وصوركم فأحسن صوركم. He formed you, and what a beautiful form he gave you. Your forms. أحسن. He made them excellent, made them beautiful. فالإنسان بعقله صار معدن العلم. So the human being, through the human intellect, became the source of knowledge. It's the mine of knowledge. This is where you're going to get the knowledge from. ومركز الحكمة. And the center of wisdom. وجود العقل فيه في ابتداء الأمر بقوة كوجود النار في الحجر. So the existence of the intellect in the beginning of the affair is potentiality, is through potentiality. بقوة. Sometimes قوة means power, sometimes here it means potentiality. كوجود النار في الحجر, like the existence of fire in the flint. والمحتاج في أن يري إلى الاقتداح. So anyariya means like to strike the flint. So if you strike the flint, you'll get the fire. Or like the existence in potentiality, the whole palm tree exists in the palm seed. So you have to plant it and you have to water it. Like the existence of water, table waters that are under the earth. المحتاج إلى الاستسقاء منه إلى حفر. So in order to acquire that water, to draw that water out, you need to drill a well. ونفس الإنسان واقعة بين قوتين. So the human being, the human soul, then exists between these two powers, right? One is the concupiscent, and the other is the rational. I mean, there is a third power, which is the the irascible power. So it's quwwa al-ghadabiyya. So, but here he's basically showing the animality and the angelic nature. So we have these two natures that Allah, and they're in tension. There's a tension between these two, the rational and the appetitive. All right? So the irascible is kind of a moderate, it exists between the two, the thumos, the Greeks called it, right? Which is in that middle phase. فبقوة الشهوة تحرص على تناول اللذات البدنية البهيمية كالغذاء والسفاد والتغالب وسائر اللذات العجلة. And so this appetitive power, it's covetous to, it attempts to obtain pleasures of the body, bodily and animal pleasures, like food and sex, and also to overcome, like to conquer, and وسائر اللذات العاجلة, and all those other more immediate pleasures. وبقوة العقل تحرص على تناول العلوم والآداب. And with the power of the intellect, it covets, it desires, it's really, desires or wants, to achieve knowledges and refinement. There, والآداب means more like refinement. والأفعال الجميلة, and good deeds. والأمور الحميدة, and praiseworthy matters. المحمود العاقبة, that are have praiseworthy consequences. وإلى هاتين القوتين أشار تعالى بقوله إنا هديناه السبيل إما شاكرا وإما كفورا. We've guided you the two paths, either grateful or ungrateful. Kafur here, kafir means ingrate, right? So it also means disbeliever, scoffer. So when he says هديناه النجدين, the najd is a طريق مرتفع, or it's a raised up plain, a road. So we showed him the two clear roads. These are two clear roads that we have shown him. ولما كان من جبلة الإنسان أن يتحرى ما فيه اللذة كانت اللذات على ضربين. So when it was the human nature to seek after pleasure, the pleasures came in two types. أحدهما محسوس كاللذة المذوقات والملموسات والمسموعات والمبصرات والمشمومات وهي من توابع الشهوة الحيوانية. So one of them are the sensual pleasures, like the pleasures of taste, the pleasures of touch, the pleasures of sound, the pleasures of sight, and the pleasures of smell. So the pleasures of the five senses. And these follow the animal appetites. والثاني معقول, and the second type of pleasure are the intellectual pleasures, كلذة العلم وتعاطي الخير وفعل الجميل. That is the pleasure of knowledge, of doing good, of acting virtuously. واللذات المحسوسة أغلب علينا لكونها أقدم وجودا فينا. It's very interesting. So the sensual pleasures are more dominant in us because they were the first pleasures that we had, right? So we're more accustomed to them. They're easier, they're quicker. لأنها توجد في الإنسان قبل أن يولد. That you experience them in the womb of your mother. غذيتني في الحشا جنينا. You gave me food when I was an embryo in the womb of my mother. وهي ضرورية له في الوقت. And also, قال تعالى كلا بل تحبون العاجلة, because they're immediate. You can get them immediately. Intellectual pleasure takes work, takes effort. Sarah Babakir, she gave a nice, the other day, she was talking about the difficulty that you have in acquiring knowledge, but then when you get it, the pleasure that you get is great. And she likened that to like paradise. That, here it's all struggle, but then in the afterlife, it all becomes meaningful. So intellectual pleasure is difficult. You never see If you see somebody who's really mastered something, even a great pianist, you don't see all the hours and hours of horrible repetition that they had to do to get to the point where they could play something beautifully. So all intellectuals, mathematics, somebody, you see Yusuf Ismail, it's very easy for him, but you didn't see all the struggle that Dr. Yusuf went through to achieve that level of ability in higher mathematics. It was a great struggle. You don't get there easy. Very few people find those type things easy. There are some people that seem to, but they're very rare, those type people. Most intellectual effort is very rigorous and arduous and takes time. So that's what he's saying. That the sensual pleasures are very quick. You just eat a cake and it tastes great, and then you regret eating it. Right? That's the nature of sensual pleasure. Most of it is actually a little remorseful because it's generally, a lot of it's a waste of time. وَلِذَا يَكْرَهُ أَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ مَا يَأْمُرُ بِهِ الْعَقْلِ. And for this reason, and then Allah says, كَلَّا بَلْ تُحِبُّونَ الْعَجَلَ. You love immediate things and you put off what's coming. So you procrastinate the difficulties. And this is in a book that Ehrlich and Ornstein wrote called New World, New Mind. One of the things that they say in there is that the human being the brain is designed to react to immediate things, but it actually will put off and delay things that are coming down the road. That's why you have a national debt. Like, $30 trillion, really? Really? How long can you keep doing that? They just keep kicking it down the road. But eventually it's going to collapse the currency. It has to. It's just economics. Adam Smith, last chapter, chapter 5, it's an important chapter in The Wealth of Nations on debts and taxation. And he says, no country has ever survived deficit financing. It destroys the economy of the country. So now they're going to start dumping these petrodollars because now Saudi's saying, we'll take the yuan, we'll take the Brazilian currency, we'll take rubles. So once the reserve currency is lost, the American dollar is worthless.